Yeah. Vänta. Måste jag keva på. Keva på. Oj. Ja. Kunna lyfta. Att en liten batteridrift på den. Man kan dra igång den. Fläkt.
Extension. Guess what happens when you call a second time extension on that person? That means the third time, guess what you have to do? The same thing you weren't comfortable doing in the first place. So nothing has been solved here. All you're doing is you're kicking a rock, or whatever that saying is. Gary, help me. Kicking a rock down the street. What is that saying? Kicking the bucket, kicking the can.
You're kicking great.
You're kicking the can down the street. You're just prolonging the weirdness, the awkwardness that all you little soft pro players out there don't want to hurt any of your van buddies' friends, that you don't want to call them of, hey, bro, you're playing super slow. You don't want to do that. So all you do now is you go time extension, and now you're back right on square one. You're going to have to make that awkward thing. Nothing has been solved. And here's the big kicker of all of it. PDGA, do your job. If you see a problem with pace of play, if you see a problem with players not calling it on other players, guess what you should do? Stop making more rules that players have to inflict on other players. How about you do your job? How about you get in a golf cart? How about you get in a Segway? How about you drive around the course and say, hey, there's a 2-hole gap here. Someone's playing slow. Let's go there and see what's going on. Stop making it on the players. What do you want me to do, PJ? Do you really want me to pull my cell phone out every single time someone is going to throw and start looking at the clock? And then when someone says time extension, do I need to pull my phone out again and make sure they don't go over 45 seconds? Do you know how dumb it is already that pros are walking down fairways, looking at the scores on their phone? It's extremely dumb. It looks really, really bad. Now we're going to have everyone just on their phones with the clock rolling at all times. Because how am I supposed to call time extension? How am I supposed to call time a violation if I don't have my watch going? This makes no sense. PDGA, do your job. You're getting paid.
It's going to be a stopwatch in every player's pack for the pros from now on. That's how it's going to work. But the other crazy part is, if you have to call the time extension on a player, there are so many players out there who are going to be like, well, now I have to go through my process again because you've interrupted my focus. It's just, it's so silly. But the one thing I want to add on to what you said, Brody, about how they said that they thought this was going to make it easier to call this, is the exact quote that Robert said was that all but one person on the Players Council said that this would make them more comfortable calling time violations and that they would be the champions of the rule and call it themselves. So that's interesting.
Okay,
well,
so
they'll call a time violation, but they won't call the third one that actually matters.
I think we got to look at it on a bigger perspective, because you're looking at it in a very broad state that this is something that's going to happen all the time, and that's just not the case. It doesn't happen all the time. We don't run into these situations all the time, and that's just the way that it is. Okay, there's certain players that actually abuse the time violation all the time, and they still don't get called. The only ones that get called are by the officials anyway, so it is a big problem to where nobody's calling it. How many players have you called, Brody, on a time violation, and you see speed of play and it's your biggest thing, and how many people have you ever called being like, hey, you got to speed it up, this is a warning? Probably 1, 2?
Yeah, probably like 2 to 3.
Okay, 2 to 3 in all the rounds that you do it, so it's, like I said, it's a very broad thing. And how many times have you seen the violation happen?
So the reason why I don't really call it that often is because a lot of times I am one of the fastest players on tour. So we're oftentimes waiting we normally catch the card in front of us. So we're waiting because of, even if I'm playing with a slow player, I kind of do it. Now, my thoughts, my thoughts on the rule, Yuli. I think it's dumb. I think it's dumb that you have a very difficult shot. You have a putt to make the cut. I think it's very dumb for me to jump in and say, Yuli, you went over 30 seconds. I think that's very dumb. That's why I don't do it unless it's really, really bad. But
it's still a problem. If you're not calling it, it's a rule. It's a problem. I don't care if you like it or you don't.
If you're not calling it and you're you have a 2-hole
you're
gap,
thinking of it in a you're thinking of it in a broad state of like, it's not really a big deal. I don't call it because we catch the people in front of us, but that's part of the problem. You still don't call it. I actually like the time extension. Okay, I like the time extension because I do think there's times when I'm in the woods and I need to take longer and I feel bad and I have to rush a shot and I should be able to have more time.
Yeah.
Now I've never been called on a time violation ever in my life, and for sure I've gone over. But I think like there's unwritten rules. Oh, well, he's not a guy that takes so long. Like, I'm not going to call him on this time.
That's going to happen here, too, though. That's what I'm saying. This isn't solve the problem, Yuli. That's the thing, is there's a pace of play problem.
No, it doesn't solve a problem. Why like this? Now, you think a certain way, okay? You think a certain way.
The same, right?
Sure. However you want to word it, you think that way. I know for a fact that if everybody on the board says this will make them more comfortable to say, hey, time violation, and call something, then that right there in that instance means that you're getting farther. You're saying you're kicking the can. I don't care. You're one of no. Let me finish. So there's you and one other person on the entire board that says, no, this is ridiculous. It won't work. But then there are other people that outnumber you saying, for sure it'll make me call it, and I will actually do it, which means that there's a broader and more people that are actually going to be more comfortable not stroking somebody, because here's the next part about it. I don't want to stroke anybody. You just said, I caught the card in front of us. It's not my place. I don't want to stroke anybody. I don't want to give any. Okay, so we agree across the entire board. But there's still situations where other people, not myself, okay? So this is coming from somebody who thinks very much like you. But I have to go and I have to think like somebody else. And I have to be like, okay, so why aren't they calling it when they absolutely have to? Well, it's because they don't want confrontation.
Yeah.
They don't want it. By them not giving them a stroke, and I want the time extension for those situations, okay? I don't think the time extension is probably ever going to be used in different situations unless it's a windy putt, which I would love a time extension when I get a 90-mile-an-hour headwind all of a sudden and the nuts guy took my win because he actually went over his time and took whatever that nice little calm breeze was. I would like to be able to have a beneficial win for myself. I love the time extension as far as that goes. But as far as making it easier for other people to call, I think 100 billion% this makes it easier for the rest of the field to call because you're not stroking somebody. And you're saying it's a slap on the wrist?
Let me rebuttal here. First off, you mentioned that, if people on this board are claiming that this is going to make them call it more, right, then it's probably a good thing. These are the same people, Yuli, too, that also claim that addressing a lie is way better than determining a lie. These are the same people, so I don't know how trustworthy these people are. Secondly,
I would think that I'm pretty trustworthy when it comes to getting things done.
We can agree that right there, addressing a lie and determining a lie, should not be like this light bulb thing. But my point being is, I think what you're missing is they're eventually going to have to make that call. So that's what I'm saying is, maybe that first violation is easier easier. Maybe that second
You're-
time violation is easier.
you're-
The third one, you're stroking.
Your
it.
hypothetical is coming to the same people. It's the same 4 people who violate the time. This is going to benefit the rest of the field. Okay, your hypothetical is the same people who are taking that time anyway. They're only going to get called on it. It's not like we have a huge problem of people taking 2 minutes to throw a shot. It's the same guys. We all play at a certain pace for the most part. It's not as far as somebody taking over a minute to throw every single shot. That's not a problem that we have on the court. It isn't. It's the same guys.
It's a handful
It's
of
the
people.
same-
It's
it's a
more and more
handful of
though.
people.
It's more and more every year though. It's more and more every year.
I disagree. I disagree with that. I think it's the same guys. I think
No,
it's
but
the
I'm
same
saying
guys.
there's,
Brody.
I think more people are coming on tour that are playing slow. There are. There's definitely more people right now playing slow. I mean,
I think
think
it's
about
still
it.
a handful. It's not a problem. It's not a problem that
It is a
I
problem.
think
Pace of play is really bad.
pace of play. It's not because people are taking so much time. It's people meandering around and doing other things and playing with their thing and doing this and blah 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 blah.
That's my
Now they're
point.
timing- now they're
That's
timing
not. That's
people.
not. No. That's not your point.
My point is this
the-
was a stupid rule. My point is they're saying that they think this is going to solve pace of play. That is why they're doing this. People
I
are
don't
playing-
think so. I think that this is going to solve somebody sitting over a putt for a minute.
Why does
That's-
it matter?
that's the problem.
If pace of play isn't a problem, Yuli, why is it a problem if someone's sitting over a putt for a minute? If pace of play is not a problem.
What are you talking about? Like they're two completely different things, Brody.
The
They're
reason-
two
No, the
Brody,
reason
a
you don't
group
want
playing slow and meandering around the fairway and looking at their disc and trying to choose 35 discs is 100% different than somebody sitting behind their lie and taking a minute to throw a shot
But
with the
if-
same disc in their hand.
But if that person is sprinting to their disc and doing all this stuff, even though they're sitting behind their disc for a minute, they are still keeping up with the card in front of them. What is the problem with them doing that? That's my whole
Oh no,
thing.
I'm in on that. I'm in on that. But
That's
the
my whole.
problem is
The problem is pace and play. That's what they're trying to fix with this rule, because it doesn't matter if you're. If
I don't
everyone-
think it is. I don't think it's. I think it's a rules violation in a 30-second mark, and it's not a pace of play. There's plenty of other reasons why we have forces. Like
But
the
why-
round's gonna take freaking.
Why
12.
do we
It's
have
two
30
different problems, dude.
Why do we have 30 seconds though? Why do they have a rule that you have to throw in 30 seconds? Why don't they just make it so you can throw whenever you want?
I would
Because
love
they're-
that. I personally said I would love a minute. Give everybody a minute. I would love a minute. The problem is I think personally that the problem is the meandering down the fairway and not getting
I
to your
agree
line.
with you.
That's part of the
That's
issue.
where the
enforcement of the rule creates its own problem. Is how are you going to enforce these violations, which the rule may be a good one, but how do you enforce them in a way that doesn't create more problems, because now players have to be more attentive to other players' shots and the time it takes. So in the process of enforcing it, will that create will it wash itself? in
I
terms
think
of the understanding?
I think this is a attempt to stop the cupcakes and the Gannon Burrs from putting for over a minute. Okay, that's what the problem is, because when you're watching on camera and you watch these guys do 37 pump fakes, or Gannon Burr do 37 pump fakes right in front of his lie and wait for a correct win and all these things, that's not fun to watch. That's what they're trying to fix. It's when you say pace of play in a whole, there's other things that create backups. It's not this guy waiting on his lie, because really it's a rules violation to me when a guy sits over his putt for a minute to make a putt. That's benefiting him against the field. Meandering down the fairway and doing this lottie-dottie bullcrap is not benefiting him, in my opinion. That's just making things slow, if that makes sense. It's the person who's standing behind their lie and clearly cheating because they're taking way over 30 seconds to throw a shot. To just throw a shot with nothing in the way. That's the actual problem, okay? I don't believe it is the pace of play like you're saying, just because it's taking forever the long round. Because they might get there quicker and take a minute while the other guy is checking this, doing this, and he's taking the same amount of time. That guy, to me, is not trying to bend the rules in his favor, if that makes sense.
To me, I feel like you have to work with the resources that you have available to you, and if it's really true that it's only a few players that this caused this issue, and we don't want to get into a habit of punishing the field for the mistakes of a few players, and we only have a handful of marshals or officials in the course, there's a system that I think that's already created. I know we have people always harp on disc golfers for saying, let's look at golf and stuff like this, but there's a system of play that I think makes it easier for the PDGA within the confines of the resources they have and the conditions of it only being a few players, that they shouldn't be making more rules and complicating it. They should start having a system where they look at the overall pace of play of the card and having to match the pace of play set forth by the tournament. And if there's an issue with the card getting behind, the marshals proactively going over that card and saying, guys, what's the problem? And the guys all say, Gannon keeps taking a minute and a half on all of his putts. And then the marshal's like, all right, I'm going to put the card on time violation, but I'm here to watch Gannon. And they stay with the card. And Gannon has to get stroked once every single time he's on the putting green to make that card speed itself up. Great. But if they get there and it's like, hey, the card is meandering and everyone's taking a long time, then guess what? Everyone's going to get penalized.
Well, that works.
Speed this up.
Oh, that works. But guess what? We don't have a bunch of marshals, dude.
Well,
Gannon has become a very, very fast player over the years compared to what he was. And why? It's because he got singled out and he got stroked multiple times. And what did that force him to do? Now, did he get called and singled out and stroked by the players? Or was it marshals and embarrassment from being on featured cards and the public shaming him? Which one sped him up? I guarantee it's more of the latter, right? I guarantee it's more of the latter, which means if that's the case, we're on lead cards, and the people who are playing for the tournament don't want to sit there and go, okay, yeah, I'm gonna call him on a time violation and I'm gonna stroke this guy. You know what that makes you look like? A sissy. It makes you look like it does, and it takes you out of your game because you're like, oh, well, of course he's got to do whatever he can to beat Gannon Berg. Does anybody want to do that? No. So then the first point where you're like, oh my gosh, just call the thing. No, it's not that easy. It isn't that easy to just go out there and be like, okay, I'm the guy who called everybody on everything because I'm the rules guy. That's what we're trying to fix. And it's a slow process. It's a slow process. But guess what? A slap on the wrist right now is exactly kicking the bucket a little bit down the street. But if I call Sensei and say, hey, that's your first extension, he's going to speed up. He's going
More than that to finish me. Back in the AO.
Yep. Yep. Peter. Är du här, Peter? Peter. Peter pannkaka.
Kan du höra mig?
Nu.
Ja, men gott.
Hallå. Hör du Ebbas nya låt?
Vad sa du?
Hör du Ebbas nya låt?
Sen nattmackan för magen vi ska njuta. Kom igen nu, vi har ju just börjat njuta. Jag är hungrig, har aldrig slut.
Men till och från.
Jag är hungrig igen, det tar aldrig slut.
Bra skit.
Och jag låter om mat tydligen.
Ja, men någon ska göra det.
Vi ser vad detta är.
Sitter i stan,
Någon ska
tanken är
göra
långt
det.
bort. Till grusvägar, sjöar och kvällar som aldrig tar slut. Där kusinerna väntar, vi springer barfota. Jackar vinden, livet känns så stort. Vi packar bilen, mamma ropar nu åker vi. Jag känner pirret, sommarens magi. En väg
Ja.
där hjärtat där allt känns så fel.
Revet grönt. Jag har nytt headset idag så jag har dålig koll på hur väl det funkar.
Ja.
Men du hör mig i alla fall.
Jag hör dig.
Gott är det.
Jag är glad för att höra dig.
Men detsamma.
Nu ska vi se här. Jag ska se om jag kan göra en loadout med ett annat snipergevär.
Pröva.
Jag tar den. Se här, vilket kan det vara?
Kan vi
Bodycam.
se. Duplicate den där. Ja.
Måste vara denna som är brainstorm.
Och så vill vi ha ost på den. Ja.
Lite ost på den. Some
Så.
cheese. Some cheese. Där hade jag någon killer-effekt. Black noir. Vi tar den. Vi ser om vi ska ha lite... Vad är det för... Delta Attack 4 5,5. Men det är ett bra skåp. Ett bra skåp, kompis. Det är ingen barrel.
Jag
Explosive
låste upp
round,
det
vill inte ha.
stora nu. Jajamän.
High velocity ska vi ha. Så nu jävlar. Är du med nu, bitch?
Ja, men jag tror det.
Mm.
Kör du kompensator på graven?
Ja, jag har ingen grå, herregud. Jag kör
Vad kör du?
vad heter den?
F-van.
Det står att jag har GPR 91, men det har jag absolut inte. Vad snackar du om? FFAR har jag. Men den heter GPR 91 tydligen här på min bild. Jävligt märkligt.
Jaha.
Jävligt märkligt skulle jag säga.
Jävligt märkligt.
Jävligt märkligt.
Vad gott. Men vad blev det för någonting nu? Clash. Fint. Du, jag ska bara gå upp och kolla så. Jag tyckte jag hörde något där uppe. Jag ska bara kolla så att de ligger i sängen, kidsen. Kom on. Jajamän.
Ja, nu snackar vi.
Nu snackar vi. Jag låste upp och rankat häromdagen ju.
Ja, men det är bra ju.
Men jag har ju inte spelat, jag har ju bara spelat det själv, typ 5-6 matcher. Så jag har ju inte...
Du har ändå gjort det, ja.
Brons 2 är jag i, så att jag har liksom inte kommit längre än så.
Nej, vi har inte kommit längre än så heller. Men det är för att jag är sämst.
Ja, det tror jag inte på.
Det är ju det. Men alla, vad har jag för bullet velocity på denna? Den är ju... Vad fan ser jag vad jag träffar? Det gör jag inte. Alltså helt seriöst, ChatGPT och göra musik. Eller inte bara ChatGPT, men alla man använder, det är hur bra som helst.
Ja.
Jag gjorde en Rögle-låt innan, svinbra. Jag gjorde en ny laglåt idag och så går du in på min stream, kan jag spela den för dig.
Fan vad gott.
Ja, men jag... Har jag en jävla drop eller? Ja, det har jag fan ta med.
Jag hörde din Warzone-låt på Facebook i alla fall.
Ja, men jag har gjort ett par nya idag.
Gjort ju. Ja, men det är ett jävla roligt sätt att använda det till.
Ja, men alltså shit. Man använder ChatGPT till en och sen använder man ett annat program för att göra musiken.
För musiken eller? Ja.
Ja, ChatGPT gör ju texten.
Ja.
Svinbra. Man skriver in något så skrev jag i stil med Melissa Horn, singer-songwriter. Typ. Och så bara boom. Jaha, denna kan jag lyssna på.
Ja, det är helt sjukt det.
Ja, det är vår som ställer. Men... Ja, jag kan inte gå in och redigera den.
Oj! Nej, där ligger du, din fege jävel. Ja.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the sky. Friendly fire station inbound. Location marked. Enemies are halfway to victory, but we can still turn this around. Friendly fire station ready.
Så.
Halfway over and we're behind. Regain the lead. An enemy squad is shooting us off. Contract failed. Enemy anti-aircraft. Live in the AR. Section B.
Jag bara ligger och snipar. Jag är fega.
Vad sa du, gör du det?
Ja, jag är fega att spela kartan.
Capture and securing.
Ja, men röven.
Enemy dropping into the AR.
Är det kills som är poängen eller är det...
Nej, det är att man ska vara porrig.
Man ska göra det? Okej.
Ja.
Men då har jag gjort rätt.
Hundra procent på.
Back in the AO.
Ja, spelar du dina kort rätt så kan du nog få vara med på nästa låt också, tänker jag.
Fy fan. Ja, då ska jag ska verkligen försöka.
Mm.
Det går ju, jag fattar att det inte går att lova något och så liksom. Det är ju så i musikbranschen.
Ja. Nej, det kan jag verkligen inte.
Det är liksom löften och så. Det är... Ja.
Ja, jag lovar inget. Men
Det är business. Det är business, jag fattar det.
Det är mycket business, det är det. Men absolut, jag ska...
Men bara att du överväger.
Överväga.
Ja, det var ju ta i, det förstår jag ju.
Nej, det är absolut inte. Jag överväger inte det, utan det är... Jag ska seriöst ge det en chans. Försöka hitta en spot till dig i låten. Men man kan ju, som du själv sa, man kan ju inte bara... Det måste ju passa låten.
Ja.
Alltså artisteriet kommer först.
Jag förstår. Det behöver du inte berätta på PDP.
Nej. Exakt. Det är tajt detta alltså. Riktigt tajt match.
Back on mission.
Jag gör inte mycket nytta nu, känner jag. Jag springer bara dör.
Gör du. Bara din uppenbarelse. Pidde springer och dör. Jag måste hitta ett rhyme på det.
Ja, det gör jag faktiskt. Nu sprang jag in och dog bara. Det var det jag
Pidde
gjorde.
tycker inte han gör så mycket nytta. Men vi vet alla... Nej. Sämst sniper med sniper. Jag måste kolla vad det finns för sniper som är vettig. Warzone Meta. Sniper. FJX Imperium. Nu ska vi bygga den. Fy för jävlar. Ja, men kan vi hoppa ut eller? Vem bryr sig när man har med Pidde? VT7 Spirit Fight Suppressor.
Vilken är bäst, så här?
Barrel 29 Fahrenheit. Vilken som är bäst? Ja, det finns nog. Kilotack, vad är den? Vad är det? High Velocity. Laser Kimura. Ja. Den, och så tar vi bort siktet. Så. Då är det match. Jag har gjort en... Alltså bäst är ju HDR:en fortfarande.
Ja, det är det nog, va?
Ja. Men jag använder FJX Imperium, tror jag den heter. Jo, det heter den. Eller använder. Jag provade den förra och det gick inte alls bra. Men nu ska jag prova den igen.
Nej.
Jag har trimmat
Det
det
var
lite.
snyggt. Gott. Jag körde ju den med som är som HDR med lite snabbare. Jag minns inte vad den heter. Men den är inte lika kraftfull.
Inte lära powerful.
Minns inte vad den jävlen heter.
Ja, jag minns inte heller vad det är.
Nej, hur ska du veta det?
Ah, fuck. Nej, jag fick inte prova den. Jag fick inte prova den.
Aj, aj, aj. Farmlandet med. Klassisk mark.
Farmlandet. Japp. Ja, men nej. Jag gjorde bort mig, Pidde.
Jaså?
Ja.
På vilket sätt?
Är det du?
Jaha. Ja, men det hade jag redan gjort.
De tar B. Ja. Nej, den är inte
Jävla
bra.
bilarna alltså.
Den är inte bra med en sniper.
Nej, jag får inte till det heller.
Så jag så dödar jag en och crackar en direkt. Och så petar jag mig i näsan.
Changing bags.
Jag börjar ta sniper. Jag hittar en annan sniper här, står det.
Snyggt.
Tacken det.
Target area marked. You're cleared hot.
Aj. Ja, nu ska vi skjuta någon.
Back on mission.
Nu är det slutlekt.
Ja, det är det.
Nähä. Ja.
Died before they heard the shot.
Nej, fan.
I'm hit.
De är så jävla sköna som den och den cheating och fan vet jag om det. Ja men, åh.
Back in the AO.
Vad fan var han?
Vi har en snubbe här.
Ja, vi har många snubbar överallt. Jag ser ingenting.
Back on mission.
Okej. Jag snipar mig själv tydligen.
Back in the AO.
Jag är kvar där uppe, det är det. Oh.
Jag fick han nu.
Bra.
Ja.
Back on mission.
Två stycken där uppe. Ja, där.
Vad fan ska man komma upp där eller någonting?
Oh.
Back in the AO.
Han är ju nästan död nu.
Precision. Jag ligger och tickar det sista jag kan. Ja, jag tog den.
Back on mission. Marking target location.
Our team is close to victory. Enemy dropping into the AO.
Oj, han var uppe på vattentornet över.
Back in the AO.
Jag bara dör.
Ja, det gör man rätt mycket.
var för lätt.
Det var det verkligen. Precis det jag tänkte. Faktiskt.
Ja. Nu har jag
ska bara
bestämt mig
se.
för att byta vapen.
Riktigt bra.
Vad ska du bara se?
Jag ska bara gå och säga till min ena dotter att hon ska släcka nu.
Ja, det ska vi göra.
Kommer strax.
Ja.
Det ska man faktiskt göra.
Ja.
Kommer strax.
Ja. Mm.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
Incoming shots! Inserting additional armor.
All stations, we are free to go. Stand by for deployment. Clash. Earn points by killing enemies, completing contracts, and capturing objectives.
Sådär ja.
Sådär ja.
Enemy dropping into the AR.
Ja men helvetes.
Domination points are active. Go back.
Skitlångt fram till den. Vi ska ha det huset, Pidde.
Vilket hus säger du?
Det huset jag har markat. Vi ska ha det taket.
Ja.
Enemy soldier incoming.
Not yet.
Man börjar så jävla långt ifrån det huset bara. Man vill komma upp där uppe. Sen är det win alltså.
Är det så?
Ja, ja. Ja. Ja då. Ja, vad fan, de var ju... Ja. Jag får en jävla smärs bakifrån. Många hörsbarn. Ah.
Snyggt. Han väntar på mig.
Ja.
Eller 762 tror jag det jag tänker på. Den där snipern.
Ja, men den är bra. Jag har laddat in med en katt nu. En gamle. Det är kul att testa. Ja, folk under för fan. Banker på mig. Oj, då är jag fan här.
Ja, frisören. Får du ihjäl någon då?
Ja, men jag har så dålig sniper nu, men alltså, man måste lobba. Jag tycker det är jobbigt.
Switching mags. Last mag.
Oh. Handcannon ska vi ha ju. Jajamän.
Är det bra skit eller?
Nej. Men det är kul.
Ja, det är...
Jag köpte en sån Scorestreak handcannon. Jävlar ska jag bara dunka. Johan kollar Sverige Danmark, så när den är slut antar jag att de kommer.
Vad är det för match?
Jag vet inte, det var någon fotboll.
Nej, vad är det för något?
Jag sa jag också.
Babs, det var jag hör.
Oh.
Back on mission.
LCT, nu ska vi spela upp den lite.
Vad dålig jag är på det.
Är det?
Jag är på så här close combat med SMG.
Ja, jag är
Då
dålig
vinner
på
jag
allt.
aldrig. Nej, jag är dålig på det mesta här också kan jag säga för sig, men extra dålig på det.
Men det tror jag nog inte på. Jag tror det är ganska duktigt. Jag har precis sprungit en kvart och sen dog det. Ja, vi tar av det. Känns som det är det vi ska göra.
Ja, men lite så.
Ja. Ja, jag behöver inte göra mer än att ligga i gräset så vann vi. Det var min taktik.
Snyggt legat.
Tack. Ja.
Fint, jag tror min kära hustru kom hem nu.
Du får det låta som det är mitt fel.
Nej, absolut inte.
Ja.
Men jag tror jag ska gå upp och prata lite med henne för några timmar på hela dagen.
Ja, det ska du göra.
Ja. Så får du ta och mysa till det här.
Ja, så hälsa lite från mig sen. Hälsa på så här, hallå.
Hallå, vet du att Bugge har gjort 3 låtar idag?
Jag har 3 låtar. Ja, men vi kan göra som så då att jag ska minst själv skicka en låt till dig då.
Det tycker jag verkligen.
Jag skickar den i den andra gruppen där kanske. Vad fan, du kan skåden. Ja, låten. Så jag delar den med Åström istället. Så Åström.
Det får du verkligen göra.
Peder. Jag har en kompis som heter Daniel Åström.
Jaså?
Ja.
Fan vilket
Han är
king
från Norrland.
efternamn. Kolla, där har vi den.
Ja. Ja, hälsa.
Du, ska jag ha en fin kväll, Bogge?
Japp.
Gott, hej.
Aj.
To speed up, and guess what? It's not. There's not going to be animosity as much as if he gets stroked. Am I right?
Well, there's a hypothetical.
No.
If he doesn't speed up, then there might be, because now you have to call him on a second one.
No. Because then you call him. Eventually, he gets stroked, but he got warned twice and a slap on the wrist twice, and then he has it coming. That's he can't blame the people. You get
True,
what I'm saying?
If he uses them naturally, then there is no warning. Like if in the first 5 holes he uses them correctly, then the next time it isn't a slap on the wrist.
Sure. But what I'm saying is yes or no. If I call him and I say, "Hey man, your first extension's out the door, bud."
Yeah.
Is he going to be pissed at me?
He might. Because now he's
as
got
pissed
one
as
less.
if I'm as pissed as
not,
I'm like
not as pissed as.
Then okay, so then how does this not work?
It doesn't work when you take away the second one, and then he still plays slow again, and you got to think, okay, we're on hole 17. It's a second shot. He's taking a minute. He doesn't
Is
have
it
any
easier to
restrictions
call?
left.
Is it easier to call after you've done it twice? That's all I'm saying. Does it get easier to call this said person after these things? Brody, does it?
No,
Now, let me. No,
I
no,
don't.
no,
I
no,
don't.
It might be for one
No,
or
no,
two
no,
players,
listen.
but over the aggregate of the
No,
field, I don't
I
think it's
think
gonna save time.
having to
no,
call
no,
someone
go-
3 times in a round, is it easier?
Okay,
I don't think so. I
okay,
think it's
so
easier
no,
just
no,
ripping
let
the
me.
Band-Aid and doing it once
I'm-
than having
I
to do it
hear-
3 times.
I hear you. Okay, so now is it easier to do that, or is it easier to stroke them 3 times? Now, what kind of card are you going to be playing with? I'm asking you.
At the end of the day, Yuli, the whole thought is if you are someone that
No, no, no.
struggles, if you are someone that struggles with confrontation, if everyone knows going into it they have 2 time extensions and you come in and take one of those away on hole 1, I don't care. Yes, does it hurt that player a little bit less than stroking them? Sure, but is it
Then what are
still
we talking
awkward?
about?
It's still awkward. I'm saying for people
I
that
know,
don't
but-
have confrontation, it's still awkward to go up to someone saying, "I'm taking something away from you because you broke the rule."
Get to work.
Which one's worse? I'm asking.
I mean, well, I think this is worse now too because now I have to pull my phone out because when they say time extension, now I got to pull my phone out to see.
I mean,
if
it's
they
going
go
to be
over
this whole
45
phone
seconds.
thing to make it seem a little worse than it is. Like it's
No,
it's
but
an
how
obvious thing.
are you gonna? Are you literally gonna pull your phone out now every single time?
It's not going to be on hole 1. Like you're going to see the guy taking forever all the time, which is only a few players. And then
Well-
yes, I've seen phones out all the time. When it gets to the point, Brody, we've played this game for how long? We've played this game for how long? And how many times have you picked out a phone? I've done it 10 times ever from a guy who did it from hole 1 all the way into whatever. And then I had to be like, I got to bring this out so it's official.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
It
It
sucks.
almost feels like you're at a disadvantage and you shouldn't have to do it. And it should be a marshal's job to make sure every group.
Yeah, we don't have them.
But
like,
that's what do you think is
great
okay? Here we go. What do you think is harder? Here we go. This is for the audience. This is for people listening. This is for everyone. This is a question for everyone. If you're listening after the fact, tweet me, drop on the comment. What do you think is more challenging? A professional player that has relationships with another professional player, having to time them and figure out if they're going over their time, then going up to that person and having a conversation, either taking away their time extension or giving them a stroke violation, and they do it too many times. Is that harder to do versus a marshal that their job is solely paid by the players to be able to make sure fairness is done in tournaments, for them to be on their phones with the score and look
On every card.
when there is to be on their phones and their leaderboard and just scroll through to see where people are and go, oh, there's a gap. They're on hole 7. The group in
That
front
doesn't
of them.
always work. It doesn't always.
I'm just saying, what is
What is
easier?
easier? That's solving pace of play. That's not solving one guy. You can keep playing super fast, and our whole card's playing fast, and there's one guy taking time after time after time and going over his limit.
And that marshal comes to you and says, hey, you are on the clock, and if you're playing fast, you're not going to get stroked. The guy that's
What does he
going
know?
slow is gonna get
How does
stroked.
he know?
They're
There's
with
got to
you
be
now.
one
They
every
show up
hole.
to you.
They have to. They have to be at every hole.
But
Yes.
no, you just said this. You know there's only a handful of people that play slow. So if that's the case, when you see that gap, because it's not
But what
every
if there's
hole.
no gap? That's my point. What if
Then
there's no
then
gap?
they're keeping up with the pace of play. There's nothing to complain about. If there's no gap in every
Yes, there is. I'm not going to sit there and
No.
watch somebody pump fake 40 times and take 2 minutes on a pumpkin.
But if they do that and then you walk to the next tee and there's a group there and you have to wait for them and they do that the next hole, in my opinion, the timing of the round should solely be the group, how they play. And the first group off, obviously in our situation you have FPO, whatever. But there's normally a gap between MPO and FPO. The first group off, there's still be, hey, they need to be at this hole at this time. And if they're not, then someone needs to come and tell them that they're behind me to play. If you go to any golf, like reputable golf course, they will have people come up to you
For sure.
and tell you you're playing too slow. That needs to be done. The across the board. And so if I'm someone that's like, hey, I got super nervous on this death putt. I took an extra 45 seconds on this death putt, but I'm one of the fastest players. And there was one moment that I took 45 seconds extra, but we are keeping up with the pace of play with the group in front of me.
Oh, I'm in on that.
There's no issue. Yeah, there's no issue. And so that's my thing is, the easiest thing here is literally the PGA has all the information on their phone. Just look and say, hey, there's a 2, 3, 4 hole gap. This happens all the time at the end, and this is what really pisses me off, dude. Tournaments actually get worse now because we are no longer playing in a world where the people on the last card can win. We're playing in the world that second card can win. We're playing in a world that third card can win. And when second and third cards are done playing their round half an hour before the final card even gets to like 17, that's the pitch. It's literally the pitch. It's the worst. The card in front should be on hole 18. The lead card should be on hole 17. And so the lead card's on hole 15 and second card's in hole 18. There needs to be a marshal telling them you're on the clock. You're playing too slow.
Dude, listen, I am in 100% with, I don't want there to be a time thing. I want people to play. I want it to go. I'm with you. My point is, that's not a world we live in.
We just know your solution of everyone playing 30 seconds is going to solve the problem. Keep it in mind.
Brody, would you be okay with a card of 3 Brodies and 1 Cupcake? You think that's a fair scenario?
So
Where you guys are playing quick, you're walking up quick, you're taking your time, and then Cupcake's taking 2 minutes per shot. You're keeping pace because the other 3 people are playing fast.
It sounds like a nightmare.
Like, are you okay with that?
yeah, this is a great hypothetical. I would say probably the 3 birdies are at a great disadvantage. I would agree with that. That is probably not great. And I guess in that scenario, it would have to go to what Yuli was saying earlier about Cannon, where you would have to put a bunch of pressure on this guy publicly to play faster, and then the other scenario too would be he's not always going to play on par with 3 of the fastest people, and so there are going to be other times where he is going to be stroked, right?
Oh, yeah, so I think the idea of once there's gaps, having a marshal come, time everything, but oftentimes, when, like Parker mentioned, they're still playing extremely slow, way slower than everybody else, but they're happening to keep pace, or this is probably soft, like I said, but pressuring the other 3 players to make them play with they see them behind them, they see them falling back. They might, without realizing, start playing faster.